Welcome to this week's Resistance Download. The title of it is Switch. I don't know about you, but there's been numerous times in my life when God spoke something to me, He encouraged me with something, He challenged me with something, said something was coming down the horizon, and then it was like I got caught in the middle of everything, and it's like a switch turned off, and I forgot about His promise. I forgot to do what He said to do. I forgot what He had said to me that He was going to make sure was going to happen. And the same thing is true to the Israelites in the Bible. They had a similar thing happen. Moses, who was kind of their deliverer, essentially went and was talking to all the nation of Israel, trying to get him out of slavery. He was talking to Pharaoh. All these miracles take place, all these incredible 10 plagues, and all this stuff happens. And then they all are kind of on their way out of Egypt. And on their way out of Egypt, God stops them right on the edge of the Dead Sea. And they're right on the edge of the Promised Land. All they've got to do is get across, and they'll be where God promised them they would go. But what happens? They freak out. They get upset. They get angry at Moses. Why did you call us here? It would be better if we go back and die in Egypt than to die here in the water. And they're just furious. And in a matter of days, they forgot the incredible miracles of God and the incredible promise of God. And you and I can be the exact same way. But then Moses does this interesting thing. He reminds them of what God told them. And here's what he says in Exodus. It's Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 through 14. He says, "And Moses said to the people, 'Fear not, stand firm.'" Basically, remember where you came from, "and see the salvation of the Lord, which He will work for you today. For the Egyptians who you see today, you shall never see again. The Lord will fight for you, and you only have to be still or silent." Moses had to remind the entire nation of Israel, you've seen all this stuff, you know the God you serve, you know His character, you know that He's for you and not against you. But He had to remind the people of Israel not to turn back, not to forget who their God was. And so I want to challenge you this week. Don't forget who the God is that you serve. Don't forget where He's brought you from. Don't forget the promises He's made to look out for you, to give you a hope and a future. Don't forget the fact that He's never going to leave you or forsake you. Don't forget His promises to provide for you. His promises to give you a hope and a future. His promises to fulfill the very things He has spoken to your heart and for you to become all that He's called you to be. Don't forget. Go back this week, I would challenge you, and begin to think of or write out some of the things that you know God has spoken to you. Maybe go through some old journals or go through some old Bible verses that you've memorized and begin to remind yourself, who is this God? This God, Jesus Christ, that loves you. What is His purpose? What is His plan for you? Stir up and remind yourself of who He is. And take this switch in your life and take it from off to on, by remembering who He is and what He's done for you. So this week, flip the switch and remember who God is and all that He has in store for you. I love you and believe you. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week.